You're listening to Electrician Live with your host, Paul Abernathy.
Well, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Electrician Live. My name is Paul Abernathy, and welcome to the podcast. So today's episode is more a Texas-driven episode. So if you are in the state of Texas, then this episode is for you. Every now and then we like to give updates on different things that are happening within the different states. And so today's episode is very much Texas-driven. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Texas and the Texas Electrical Safety and Licensing Act and what took place. And so you can be informed moving forward on what's going on when it comes to whether or not you're preparing for your license, whether or not you are doing electrical work in the state of Texas, and you're like, okay, what's going on with the 2020 NEC? So we're going to kind of give a wrap-up of all this. But before we do that, we want to hear a word from our sponsor, because that's what helps pays the bills. Today's show is sponsored by electricianpride.com, your one-stop shop for electrician-specific t-shirts, hoodies, phone cases, mugs, die-cut stickers, leggings, and so much more. Featuring unique designs for electricians, journeymen, and master electricians, as well as electrical engineers and electrical inspectors. For more information on all the products that are available, visit us at www.electricianpride.com today. All right, so heads up all electricians in the state of Texas. So traditionally, what happens is we adopt, and Texas is really good about this, they adopt the code pretty early after it's released from NFPA. And so, this COVID thing has caused a little bit of a problem in a lot of these different states, right? Yeah, I know, it was that thing that was sent to us by China, that type of thing. Yeah, that thing. Well, it's affected everybody, and so obviously it affects the licensing and implementation of licensings. But let's get back to what we do know. So on June 30th of 2020, the Texas Commission of Licensing and Regulation actually adopted the 2020 code as the electoral code for the state of Texas. And what that does is that ensures that we have a minimum safety standard in place for all electrical work that's done within the boundaries of the state of Texas. And all of that is implemented by the Texas Electrical Safety and Licensing Act. So as of June 30th, 2020, the adoption sets a future date, and a future date when all electrical work that is non-exempt electrical work has to be in conformance with the 2020 edition of the National Electrical Code. Now, keep in mind that the unique thing about Texas is that you could have other jurisdictions within the state that are on a lesser standard. Okay, they might be on the 2017 the moment we go to the 2020. They could stay. Or they could have amendments to the 2020. That is a recommendation by an advisory board. It's not a mandatory thing. But sometimes the building officials pick up on these recommendations and they'll make modifications. I'm against all that. I don't believe you need to be modifying the NEC. We have experts that look at this. But again, understanding that every jurisdiction and every geographical location is different, and the code is trying to reach a broader picture. So some areas, some things might not be applicable, and so they amend them out. I get it. All right, so at the end of the day, as of June 3rd, and my point here was that you could have a smaller city or jurisdiction that's still on the 2014 in the state of Texas. And that's fine to pass the inspections within that jurisdiction. But when the state goes to the 2020 NEC, and we'll talk about this date here in a minute, then that means that any electrical work done in that state, whether it's in a municipality or it's out in the county where there isn't any permitting, the electrician is still required to follow a minimum safety standard. In other words, do the right thing when nobody's watching, because eventually somebody could find out, or you could tick off an owner who drops a line to TDLR, and all of a sudden an investigation takes place, and then you lose your electrical license because the state is on a certain edition of the National Electrical Code, you have to follow it, whether or not there's permitting or not. Anytime you do electrical work, you have to follow a minimum safety standard. If you get caught or you get a disgruntled owner who says, you know what, this guy's not doing it to code. I cracked open a code book, or they emailed somebody that's in the know, and then all of a sudden you got a problem, and you don't want any problems. So follow the code. All right. So what happens in the state of Texas is, and the problem with that is if you're doing in a county that's doing 2014 code, let's say, and the state goes to 2020, yes, you might pass the inspection for the locality, but let's say somebody gets hurt. Now they bring in the state. And of course it will happen that way because lawsuits will fly because we're a sue-happy country at this point. And what happens is you'll get experts come in, and you'll say that you did it in compliance with whatever the municipality was adopting. That was to pass a permit to get your inspection. But it didn't comply with the state. So when the state adopts a code, it's a minimum safety standard that is statewide. But they have the ability for jurisdictions to be on a lesser code cycle, with the ramifications are that the electrician, the poor electrician, is caught in limbo. You're between two cycles. So my advice is always do it to whatever the state mandates. And usually that means you're going to be more enhanced than whatever the locality might be on if it's on a lesser or an earlier code standard. So always think about the state. They're the ones that are going to wield the biggest power in this thing, not just the municipality. No, they're going to be immune because they have the ability to have a lesser standard. Okay. All right. So as of June 30th, 2020, the Texas Commission of Licensing and Regulation adopted the 2020 National Electrical Code as the electrical code for the state of Texas. Now, typically what happens, and again, this covers all electrical work in the state of Texas, whether or not it's in a municipality, whether it's permitted or not. Okay, so always do the right thing because people are watching. There's always eyes watching. Now, this typically would be effective September 1st, 2020. However, due to this COVID-19 pandemic, this has been pushed and has been pushed to November 1st, 2020. So slight delay, not a big delay, just 2 months. And effective date, November 1st, the expectations are that any non-exempt electrical work started on or after November 1st will have to be installed in accordance with the 2020 National Electrical Code. So Texas don't play. Now, Texas wasn't the first. Massachusetts was the first. But Texas doesn't follow very far. Again, all the legislative, what I like to say, BS that takes place in governmental agencies, which I've worked for before. Once all that goes through its thing, and I will say Texas streamlines it pretty good. I just wish that they'd make all the jurisdictions have to follow the state, like they do in Virginia, for example. But again, I'm not complaining because Virginia, I don't know. Virginia is still on I don't know. I think they just adopted 2014. So I'm not crying here in Texas, but at any rate, so effective November 1st. Now, for everybody that listens to me also says, okay, well, how is this affecting my testing? Well, let's talk about that a little bit when it comes to testing in the state of Texas. So we usually get together on committees, and I'm not on the committee this time. I was on the committee for the 2017, but they found out I do a lot of exam prep and teach a lot of people how to pass exams. So I can't be on it again. I get it. I'm okay with that. I'm certainly not going to stop teaching people because I love to teach code. I love teaching people how to. I'm not teaching you answers. People that know me know I won't give you the answers to a test. I teach you how to learn it and retain it, not just a quick fix on a weekend cram course type of thing. I teach long-term retention of the code is my focus. At least that's supposed to be my driving focus. So beginning on November 1st, 2020, all examinations for the state electrical licensings will be based on the 2020 NEC. And all of this all this information can be received through the PSI, and they have what's called a Candidate Information Bulletin, a CIB. And all you got to do is to go to PSI exams and just Google it, and you'll be able to get there. And you go to your state, and you'll be able to get that information. Incidentally, you can go to tdlr.texas.gov/electricians, and that information will be on there as well. And you just click some links and you can get it. Don't hit me up for it because I don't monitor those type of things for every state. I'll help you out on a one-on-one basis, but do a little bit of work yourself. And so people ask me, when will Texas start examining using the 2020 code? And the answer to that is November 1st. So if you schedule your exam after November 1st, on or after November 1st, you can expect to be testing on the 2020 National Electrical Code. So students ask me, how does that affect them, for example, in our structured plan program, like the Fast Tracks program? Well, if you know you're going to test before November 1st, and you know this, then just go with the 2017 edition. If you know that you're going to potentially be testing after November 1st, which isn't that far away from here, then I would go with the 2020 edition. You're going to get the 2020 changes. That's important. You're going to know the updates, how things are relevant. There are some slight changes in calculations. Doesn't affect the old outcome, but is a method of how you do it, especially for dwellings. Again, creation of removing stuff from 220.12 and putting it in 220.14 for, so the 3 VA per square foot. I mean, other than that, not real significant changes. You could probably pass the exam either or. But again, for the best bang for your buck, I'm probably going to go with the 2020 if you know you're going to test after November 1st. So that was what we wanted to announce today. However you're studying, just remember that in the state of Texas, June 30th of this year, 2020, implemented the adoption of the 2020 NEC for an effective date of November 1st. Instead of September 1st, it's now moved to November 1st. So when it comes to licensing and when it comes to exams and preparation and how you do it, you need to look at your time very wisely here. And I help literally thousands and thousands of people around the country prepare and understand the code and get ready for exams. And people watch my videos, listen to the podcast like the one you're listening to now, in order to get a better understanding of the National Electrical Code, how it's implemented, how it's interpreted. And so I'm telling you right now, for the state of Texas, as of November 1st, 2020, all examinations, and I'm getting this directly from TDLR, all examinations will be based on the 2020 NEC. So look at your study schedule, look at where you're at, look at when you think you're going to take your exam, and prepare accordingly. If you ask me, should I do the 2017 program or should I do the 2020? I can't answer that for you. It's easy for you. If you're going to test before November 1st, go with the 2017. If you're going to test after November 1st, go with the 2020. Pretty easy choice for you to make. Okay. So hopefully you got some information. That's for all my Texas brothers and sisters that are studying for their exams. That's what you got going on. So till next time, folks, stay safe. God bless.
You've been listening to Electrician Live with your host, Paul Abernathy.